Hi, it's your astrologer from BellaDeVeroOfficial.wordpress.com, and today I'm continuing my series, birth chart readings for Harry Styles. So I am doing more on the part of fortune and some aspects. Um, your part of fortune is in Aquarius at 28 degrees, and I just have a few things written down here about what I'm gonna talk about. Um, the aspects I'm going to talk about. Your North Node is in Sagittarius at 0 degrees. So that's an out of sign square aspect to the part of fortune. I've already explained what these two things are in the other videos, but just quickly, the North Node is what you're not used to, what you have to get better at, what you have to do, like from adulthood, on 20 or 30. And you have to it's not the part of fortune where you get people on board with you to help you out with what you're trying to do about Aquarius in your fourth house part of fortune. It's not like that. It's just what you have to get. The North Node is what you have to get better at and get used to and just do for that part of your life. But like I said, the part of fortune is when you are doing where fortune is, it's in Aquarius in your fourth house. So when you're doing that, when you're being vulnerable and sharing your emotion or sharing your ideas and your life in a vulnerable way, like with family, friends, work, then you attract fortune to you. You're not money, but like people just to be there with you and help you out or give you support or that are interested in what you have to say. So it's in a square aspect, but it's an out of sign one. So that's a little bit different than if it's, not an out of sign one. The modality matters. There's 3 modalities of 4 zodiac signs each. And Sagittarius, your North Node, is the mutable, the changeable energy. Aquarius is fixed, like staying the same. But an out of sign one, it's going to have a flavor of both of those. So on the modality, usually it's a cross. I don't know if you can see my pen very well, but there's a cross. And here's I don't know, let's see. This is the exact order. I always get this mixed up a little bit. But Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. So Sagittarius, when you it's usually like here and here. That's the normal square aspect. This is like an opposition, and just 2 of these is a conjunction. So this is 90 degrees, a square. So it's tension. But an out of sign one, it's the next one, but it's out of sign. So like Pisces. Pisces would be here, so like Aquarius is right next to it. Pisces at 0 degrees is here, and then 28 degrees is, right next to it. So it's an out of sign one. So a square is tension, but it's not like all gloomy and like you can't do anything about it. It's so something gets brought to your attention and so you can do something about it. It's when you feel tension in you about these two, which I'll explain, and when you feel like you need to do something about it and work something out for it and, get something good, to come out of your effort into, working out this tension, this square aspect. Um, so whenever you have like Sagittarius, your North Node here doing its thing in the second house, which you have to look at both like what the second house is about and what Sagittarius is about. When it's trying to do its thing here, and then you have Aquarius right here, uh, part of fortune in Aquarius in the fourth house doing its thing, and then they meet in the square aspect. You have Aquarius, part of fortune in Aquarius, trying to meet, your North Node. They go up and try to meet, and what happens is they hit each other. That's a square aspect. So it's tension where like something's not happening, like with a conjunction, you're going in the same, path or whatever, and you're doing the same thing, you know, and trine is just harmony, I don't have a good example for that, but this is an example I came up with. Like when part of fortune, when you're trying to get that fortune, you know, in the fourth house, in the emotional house, when you're trying to, share your vulnerability with people and your innovations, Aquarius, and your ideas and your thoughts and for your work or for whatever it is. Whenever you're trying to do that and you're on this path here and you're trying to meet the North Node, which for Sagittarius, it's all about, your beliefs and your like some kind of belief you have or project or hobby or some kind of work, one kind of like a subject. When you gather your Gemini South Node stuff, what you've learned, all the skills, and take it into your North Node, and you try to, put it into one thing, and you're a fanatic about it, and then you get burnout on it. Then you try something else, and then get burnout on that, and then you try something else, and then you can stick with that, or how many ever it is. Whenever you're Sagittarius, the ninth house, your belief system, and your um, you know, purpose about like philosophy and, all those kinds of things. Whenever you're doing that thing about this thing you're a fanatic about, and it meets the part of fortune in a square aspect, you're gonna have to keep trying to meet, and then you're gonna like butt heads. You're gonna have to figure out how to stop butting heads so you can get that fortune gathered to you, so you can do this, emotional. Well, that's when it does happen. Whenever the fourth house, fortune in the fourth house, whenever you are vulnerable, then that's when you attract this fortune to you. But depending on all the aspects that could be difficult, maybe. And in Aquarius, you are reluctant sometimes to share your ideas in a vulnerable way. So, whenever that's meeting your North Node in Sagittarius and the thing you're a fanatic about, you want to share it, like, and be vulnerable about it, and share your ideas and get people, to be a part of this group or this project or whatever it is the North Node is about, in Sagittarius. And then, whenever you're trying to do this vulnerable thing, this part of fortune, and it hits, you have to figure out how these two can, uh, you know, stop butting heads, like I said, and get this thing to happen so it's harmonious. Not that it's gonna like change into a trine of harmony aspect, but you can work on squares where it's not so much, tension, and you can figure out, what to do about it. So with this out of sign aspect, normally Sagittarius and Aquarius is a sextile, which is one of the two good aspects. But so it can be like that at times because of the zodiac signs. But it's so close. It's like, you go from 0 to 29. So it's at 28 degrees, your part of fortune. Then there's 29, and then there's 0. The next thing we're talking about, which is your North Node in Sagittarius at 0 degrees. So it's so close. But a lot of the time, it's probably going to be the square more, I would say. The zodiac sign is going to act like the sextile. So you're going to have a little bit of that, and you can figure it out and figure out what to do about it. Sagittarius is also about like a positive outlook on life. It's Jupiter, so and it expands things. That's what Sagittarius and Jupiter is about in the ninth house. So it's gonna, expand. It can expand your innovations and your vulnerability maybe, and help the North Node. This North Node, whatever you're a fanatic about, it can be like that, where it's helping it in a good way because of the zodiac signs. But the square, it's gonna put roadblocks with the relating of these two things with each other. Whenever you have this, butting heads, and you're gonna have to communicate, you know, within yourself, these two things. Keep communicating, and you're gonna butt heads, a few times, and then you can figure out what to do about it. So as you're trying to figure out your North Node in Sagittarius, and which is in the second house, which is your own financial stability, which you already have, you can use that to, figure out what you want to do for your North Node in Sagittarius, which could be about a foundation or something where you have to use your money maybe to get this thing you're fanatic about, going. So you can use your innovations, your part of fortune and Aquarius to figure that out too. Also, like what you want to do, in invent something maybe, or have ideas about, maybe not like just invent something new altogether, but like get ideas of what you want to do, for this North Node thing, and blend that together. But you're gonna have to try it out a few times because the square is not gonna let you do it smoothly the first time you try it. So you're gonna have to, like, it's like trying out something, a skill, and that you aren't good at, but you can get used to and can get better at, if you try it a few times, then you'll stop bumping heads so much, and it can work together. Um, so, and with the North Node, that's really up to you and what you're interested in. But definitely the part of fortune in the fourth house, though, that's not up to you. It's gonna be about, if you can attract fortune to you, it's gonna be through you being vulnerable and people seeing that. So with this square aspect, you might want to like think about this aspect and try to blend these two together. And like, you know, think about how to put your vulnerability into maybe the North Node thing you're trying to do. You know, this one subject that you're a fanatic about, which is naturally what the North Node in Sagittarius means for anyone. But the certain subject that it's about can be different for each person. So you have to, for the part of fortune in the fourth house, you have to let yourself be vulnerable, and you have to embrace that and know that it's going to get fortune to you and people, and to get on board with what you're doing and what you're all about. Then they want to like help you out in your this this project you're doing or whatever it is, or just your work, um what you're doing at the moment. Like, uh I'm not sure if that would necessarily be what the North Node is about. I mean, maybe something in it could be, but it can be something other than your work, because if you're doing music for your whole life, then it could be something else also, some other hobby, some other interest. About Aquarius, like I said, like a foundation or a you know whatever you're interested in. I mean, I'm just giving you an example of what it can be about, because Aquarius is humanitarian. And since you have four planets, and especially your sun sign in Aquarius, it can be about that maybe. Or, I mean, whatever you're interested in. I'm just giving you an example of what it can be about. But this square aspect is you're going to have to figure out how to get these two to work together, and so they can get their certain things that they're trying to do to blend with each other. And then you can get all this stuff together, like that you want it, how you want it to be, like the part of fortune, like vulnerability, get that to be the way it should be, with people, you know helping you out with whatever, and not like helping you like you can't do something on your own, but like this is what fortune is, get when you have attention in a good way, like because people see what you're all about, your vulnerability and your innovations and whatever, then you know people want to be around you. So you have to blend these two together, but you have to work it out, because I mean, figure out how to make them get along, because a square is tension, and it's the most tension aspect there is. Um, Opposition is, when you're just completely opposite, and that's a tension one also. But there's like five, or depending on what astrology you're using, five major aspects, and this is the most tension one. So, but like I said, it's for working something out, because you see some problem, you see these two bumping into each other, not at first coming to some kind of a good way of working together. So you want to work it out because you feel the need to, but you're gonna have to figure out. I mean, on your own, in your mind or whatever, figure out how to get that to happen, because each person needs to do that for themselves. Like, there's no handbook of you know how each aspect is supposed to happen perfectly, because that's not how life is. So you have to figure it out on your own, how to get these two to blend together, and then you can do your North Node. It can be fulfilling then for you, and then your vulnerability can, get people around you and interested in what you have to say, and especially about, they'll just see a leader in you when you're vulnerable. That's what that's about. Then they'll want to hear about your innovations and your ideas, and so that's what that's about. And also, the part of fortune is in a square aspect to Pluto, which is in Scorpio, which is at 27 degrees. This is not an out of sign aspect. This is a normal square aspect. So Pluto and Scorpio people, this generation of us that have Pluto and Scorpio, we tend to be really Scorpio-ish and Pluto-ish and like it. A lot of people with this like Pluto aspect and synastry, but it is a little bit crazy sometimes depending on the aspects and in your own birth chart. So this is when it's Scorpio and Aquarius, but like they're both fixed signs. So it's not going to be any flexible with this one. And this can tie into the part of fortune being in the fourth house. Whenever you have Pluto and Scorpio in a square aspect to fortune, you're going to have a lot of tension. But like I said, you want to work it out and get something done about this. So if you can work on your Pluto and Scorpio stuff, which I'll explain again in a minute. But if you can get that, that same thing happening here to, me, which by the way, the same modality has something in common because they're both stubborn, they're both loyal, they both stay the same, they both have one track mind. That's one thing you have in common. So you can understand each other in that way. But especially Aquarius and Scorpio, they butt heads majorly. So you might have a problem with this part of fortune in the fourth house being vulnerable. You got to really work on figuring out how to be vulnerable and embrace it because like I said, that's when you're going to attract fortune to you. If you can never figure out how to be vulnerable and share your ideas, Aquarius, part of fortune in Aquarius, you're going to have a problem with the fortune. It's not going to attract fortune to you like you should have it, So you got to figure out how to be vulnerable and not let your guard down because whenever you do, people are going to see a leader in you. They're going to like that about you. They're not going to think you're weak. So Pluto, though, is all about vulnerable things. It's the epitome of what this is all about. Whenever Pluto is the eighth house in Scorpio, Pluto and Scorpio is the same thing. It's all about your inner demons, like what you bury deep down inside of you that you don't want to deal with, that you need to deal with. So Pluto and Scorpio is just, a huge eighth house thing going on, which is the same thing that Pluto and Scorpio is about. Inner demons and hiding it from people and not wanting to deal with it because it's scary. And believe me, I know. I have plenty of Pluto stuff in me, so I know it's scary. And Pluto is crappy to deal with. It's hurtful. People hate with good reason, to bring up these hurt feelings and deal with them. But when you do, that's when something good can happen, and then you're not going to have to deal with this over and over again. Like, if you deal with it, if you get it to the surface, which synastry and in your own natal chart, the eighth house is for, to bring this up, the Pluto and Scorpio stuff to the surface, then you can deal with it and actually get rid of it. But if you don't get rid of it, you're going to have to keep dealing with the same thing over and over again. And then you're going to have problems with this. So you gotta somehow let Pluto, which is transformation and growth, also, at the same time that it's your inner demons, it's that also. And so whenever Scorpio is in a square aspect to fortune and you're wanting to stay the same, and I can see a big problem with not wanting to be vulnerable here, but you're gonna have to with this because that's what will attract fortune to you. Whenever Pluto runs into, being vulnerable, whenever your inner demons run into and you're vulnerable, whether it's completely that way or it's getting that way or you are scared to work on it, the part of fortune in the vulnerable house hitting your inner demons and the fact that you need to transform this, you're gonna butt heads and not work it out right away. But if you can blend these two together, it helps get them to blend together, and then it can help you, you know, work on these separately and then, blend them together so, something good's coming out of it. So, like I said, it's the square aspect is tension and it's, needing to work something out. And if you can recognize this, then you can, you know, just be in that moment and like, just like embrace it and force yourself is what you have to do with this. Force yourself to deal with it. Because if you do, something good's going to come out of it. That's what happens when you deal with something. Nothing bad is going to come out of it if you actually deal with it. So then you can definitely do more of your part of fortune stuff with this aspect if you work out this square aspect. Then you can be vulnerable, then you can attract fortune to you. But you're gonna have to figure out how to do that. And like I said, you have to figure that out on your own. And like with synastry also, you being around people, the experiences you have, you're gonna have to let all of that, like notice it and like see the patterns that you have and see the pattern of, bumping into each other and see where it is that's happening and figure out how to just stop right there so you can like communicate so you don't keep bumping into each other. But you're gonna have to let synastry and which is two people's birth charts in contact with each other, how they are around each other. Whenever it brings up this Pluto stuff and this vulnerable stuff, then you can figure out how to, be vulnerable and how to do your Pluto and Scorpio stuff. So it's helping you feel, fulfilled and happy, So you're going to have to figure that out on your own a little bit in your own mind and figure out, how to get this to stop repeating itself in the same old way and like, get something done because you can get something good worked out when you have a square aspect. And that is what it's for too. So you can do this, but you're gonna have to do what your part of fortune is about and be vulnerable. And like I said, whenever you are vulnerable and then you attract fortune too, then you can work on this even more. It's you have to force yourself to though, because it's not gonna happen if you don't, you know, notice it and pay attention to it and, want to deal with it, So you're going to have to figure out how to do that. But then there's two sextile aspects, which is a good aspect. So that can help with this because it's, excuse me, it's part of fortune is in a sextile aspect to your descendant and Lilith. They're both in Aries. Um, your Lilith is in Aries at 22 degrees, which is 6 degrees away from your part of fortune, but it is definitely a sextile aspect. But your descendant is in Aries at 28 degrees, which is the same. So it's an exact sextile aspect, which is a really good thing. It can really help this. And so with the descendant, that's your seventh house. That's the other half. That's like marriage or business partner. In Aries, so you can either have Aries qualities about you or be attracted to someone that has Aries qualities about them. And with this part of fortune in your birth chart, though, you can. I want to talk about synastry also because this is directly related to other people. So whenever you're around Aries people and it's making a sextile aspect to your fortune, that can help you with this part of fortune. Sextile is when there's the potential to make something good happen. It's an easy aspect. There's nothing bad about it or difficult. It's just that you have to put a little bit of effort into it. It's not a trine where there's no effort needed. You know, trine is harmony and it just happens on its own without you even noticing it. You don't have to even notice a trine happening. It just will be naturally perfectly harmonious. But with a sextile, you have to put the effort into it to get it to be harmonious, but it's not going to be a tension aspect or anything. It's not going to be, if you don't really put the effort into it, it's not going to turn into a square aspect where it's tension or anything. It's just there's the potential there to get something good to come out of this aspect. So whenever your seventh house, whenever Aries is independent and a leader, so whenever you're doing Aries things and being a leader, it can help in the sextile aspect to your part of fortune in Aquarius. It can help you want to get your ideas out there. It can help your part of fortune in the fourth house be vulnerable, and it can help you attract fortune to you then. And especially if you meet people, the seventh house, whenever someone, I always say someone's in your seventh house, whatever, whenever someone's planets are, or whenever their sun sign is the same as, or some other planet is the same zodiac sign as your seventh house, which is Aries, that can help you, deal with this part of fortune and descendant aspect. So something really good and positive can come out of this aspect where it can help, these other aspects. It definitely can happen where at times with the Aries being in a trine aspect to the North Node, which is in Sagittarius, it's an out of sign aspect. Taurus and Sagittarius is a whole other aspect. It's an out of sign aspect. I'm not going to talk about that, but just the zodiac sign in itself at times can be the sextile. I mean the trine, because Aries and Sagittarius are both fire signs. But like I said, it's going to be that other aspect, which I'm not even going to get into in this. But anyway, so just the fact that it's the two zodiac signs, they do have something in common. So at times you can get a little bit, something trine happening with this. So your descendant, your Aries qualities about you, can help your North Node and your Aquarius, your part of fortune in Aquarius to get something good done for especially I think for the part of fortune. So you attract fortune, and that can also help the North Node or the descendant. You can attract people that see this aspect happening in you, that see the vulnerability in you if you're putting the effort into being vulnerable, which you really have to do as part of fortune. And then, it can just, be a sextile thing going on where, it's, everything's working together and getting something done, something creative to happen. That's part of sextile, something creative or, for your work or for projects or for some personal home kind of a thing you're doing, whatever. I mean, anything, any relating to people, you know, this aspect can help you relate to people, in a harmonious way, but you have to put a little bit of effort into it. But it's still a good aspect no matter what. So you can, it can be a better time of working on your fortune and getting fortune, to you and, you know, the right kind of maybe, person, about the seventh house, which like I said, it can be business partners also. So you can attract people that want to help you out with your business if you work with people in some kind of a way, anywhere in your life, like or for the North Node stuff, if that's a separate thing other than your music, then or if it's something in your music business, you it can get people, on board with you and want to help you out. But like I said, you're gonna really have to put effort into your part of fortune and make yourself force yourself to want to be vulnerable because that's when you attract people, Um, and Lilith for a man is when it's how you relate to women. It's either how you respect them or victimize them, or how you let them treat you. It's when you either let them make a victim out of you, or whenever you relate to them and then they respect you. So that's up to you basically. But in Aries, that's really powerful. That's really sexual placement to have for Lilith. It's all about power and your sexuality and like showing that to people and being confident in yourself. Naturally, Lilith in Aries is that way, but Lilith has a wicked side where when it's not getting what it wants, it can get kind of crazy, especially in Aries. Aries is, ruled by Mars, which is the sexual planet in the first place. So this is a really, you know, hyped up kind of a natural, hyped up thing to have. Like it's nothing subtle. Lilith and Aries isn't. But with it being in a sexual aspect to the part of fortune, if you're, relating to women the way you should and you're respecting them and they're respecting you, then this can go a long way with the sexual aspect to your part of fortune. And then it can also help you, feel vulnerable. And like I said, sexual aspects are, in the first place, a good aspect. So this is naturally working together in a nice way um, in your own birth chart. Um, so it's whenever you're being your Lilith in Aries and people are seeing that, you know, in a sextile aspect, whenever it's working together with your part of fortune, and it's actually getting something done here, something creative done or something good, or whenever you're putting effort into it, then I think you'll be able to attract fortune to you, um, and like I said, you have to do that through being vulnerable and sharing your ideas and everything. But this aspect is gonna be where, it's working out like really well to do that. There's no tension between these two. So you're gonna have a nice time of, like getting these two to work together to, do these separate things the way they should be. Um, I don't have tons and tons of information on this. It's just my own practice of astrology. So that's what I'm sharing with you about this. So that's basically what I have for this. Um, but yeah, definitely, these are two very good aspects to pay attention to. Not, I mean, the sextile is a good aspect, and square is something that can be worked out really well if you put effort into it. But these are two aspects. These four aspects are really, something you should, pay attention to. They're very important. The part of fortune is so important to know about and, care about. And all of these things are that I said. Pluto and the descendant and Lilith in the North Node, they're all very important. So if you can work on each of these aspects and, do whatever each aspect is, about, then you can make these work together. And, especially for this video, I wanted it to be mainly about a part of fortune. So then if you work on all these things, then you can figure out how to be vulnerable, and then you can attract fortune to you. So that's what this is about. So, that's up to you though to, figure it out. So anyway, um, that's all I have for this video, but I'll be doing, plenty more videos. I have to study your birth chart first to see, what I want to talk about, but there will be a lot more on the way though.